Hello, hello. Oh, this is madness. I'm going to have to wait 10 seconds to see if everyone is on board with this. It's like a newsroom here. There's people running in with bits of paper. But we've had a problem. We've had a problem today with Facebook. So I didn't know if it was me or Facebook. So it's official, guys. I think Beyond Contempt has crashed Facebook. This is my 4th live stream, and it was too much for it to handle. There you go. Oh, good. I know you hear me, because Al's just said mad there. But you're 10 seconds behind, Al. I'm way in front of you, mate. Oh my God. Right. The stress of going live. I want to stop now. It's all been too much. Right, people. Thank you very much, folks, for joining me here. This may be a long one, you know. We just did a run through. It could be a 40-minute, 45 minutes. I don't know. So listen, bear with. If it goes that long, you know, I understand. I won't take offence if you've gone off to go and do something less boring instead. But I'm really presently surprised that the last video, I had a look today, and it had about over 750 people had watched it after the live stream. So you guys who are getting the live stream, you're the cool kids. But all the rest, they were still leaving comments days later. So that's amazing. So I'm really chuffed, really pleased with how it's going. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. And actually, I said housekeeping in the last video, and I thought, when I watched it back, I thought, do people think I'm sort of doing my bills here or something, or sweeping up? But no, I meant housekeeping for Beyond Contempt. So let me just do a little bit of housekeeping. Let me put the first graphic down. That's Big Me. Browser Me. Good news. Now, I was going to broadcast simultaneously to YouTube, and I ran out of time, and I didn't want to complicate it because of the problems Facebook had. So I didn't do it today. But this is good news, guys. Let me make that bigger for the people down there. This is the YouTube channel Beyond Contempt, and I've made playlists now. I've uploaded all the past live streams, and they're there under live streams. The main videos that I'm trying to point everyone towards, and I think everyone's getting a bit confused when I say, oh, you've got to watch the first video. They're going back to the first live stream. Now, I'm talking about the first video in the Foundation series, but that's there under Foundation series now. And then you've got the Contact. So that's good. But next time, I will definitely broadcast live simultaneously to YouTube. And look, all right, here we go, guys. Let me bring myself down a little bit on this thing. Let me see if I can do that. One sec. Bear with, as my kids say. If I just put that down, look. All right. I'm going to put myself down there. We've got 42 subscribers. I need 100 people. All right, folks. I need 100 so that YouTube is going to allow me to change the name of my URL up the top there. At the moment, my channel name is, what is that? UCEWX, and that's no good. That's no good. All right, because I've got BeyondContempt.com. You're all watching me on Facebook, which is Cyprus Beyond Contempt, and you know, I've got the Twitter Beyond Contempt. It's, you know, a lot of effort went in for me to get Beyond Contempt on all the platforms. And if I don't change that soon, I'm going to change all the other platforms to UCEWX. All right? I need some continuity between everything. So if you can please subscribe to my channel there on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it. And hit this little bell icon here, because on the next one, if you hit that, when I go live on this, your little device is going to light up and say Connor's live. And if you're driving at the time, thank you. Great, I'm just looking at some of the comments coming in. We've got quite a few people joined already, and a lot of highs. Thank you, man. That's I really appreciate it. So I know it's all working. And Michaela, did you notice I promoted her to producer last week. I said, my producer's in the other room. I didn't know what to call the lady in the other room, my wifey, who's got the headphones on. She's sitting in the kitchen today because the delay was killing her. The next door wasn't far enough, so she's in the kitchen. Hi, wifey. Okay, so that's it. YouTube. The next bit of housekeeping, I'm going to do 2 live streams a week, I think. I was going to do Mondays and Thursdays, and I must apologise what went on yesterday. But I want to do Mondays and Thursdays. At this time, 7 o'clock GMT, 9 o'clock Nicosia. But last time, actually, I messed up. I did a live stream last Thursday, and I didn't share it on the BeyondContempt channel. I just had it on my homepage, Conor O'Dwyer. Actually, it's called Facebook/Real Conor O'Dwyer, which is a little joke because Donald Trump is Real Donald Trump on Twitter. So I put Real Conor O'Dwyer on Facebook, as if there's imposters out there. There is going to be a lot of serious stuff in this live stream. I know I'm giggling around here just while I warm up. I'm very nervous. Actually talking about that, I've done a lot of tutorials for all this, and it's very complicated. About 40% of my brain is used up just keeping the lights on, just working out where everything is. And all these tutorials on YouTube, they're all out of date. They're all saying, to go live, you just select this, you hit that button there, and now it's under settings, advanced settings, under a drop down, click that button and then go live. Everything has changed from every tutorial. But I'm sick of tutorials. I've even done a tutorial that says, what is the optimal amount that someone should drink before they speak in public? And it's actually 2 pints for a bloke, 2 pints. All right, so I'm actually 2 pints in when you see this. This is the 3rd pint, and when I'm about 3/4 of the way through it, I'll be talking about estate agents in Cyprus, so it might kick off. But I've got to get over that. I've got to get over this nerves, and that's why I'm waffling here now, because I will be live streaming from Cyprus at 8 o'clock in the morning outside the Supreme Court. So I don't want to be 2 pints in. If the judges are looking outside of the Supreme Court, they're saying, who's that British guy out there drinking 2 pints at 8 o'clock in the morning? So I've got to get over that, haven't I? Let me just go back here. This is the technical difficulties we had yesterday was with the Brave browser. I said I had to cancel things because of technical difficulties. It wasn't the camera or the microphone or the slight lip sync, as Michaela came running in the other day. It was actually the browser, and it's important that I show you this. This browser that I'm sharing with you now, it's not the Google Chrome, and it's not Microsoft Explorer's thing. I'm using the Brave browser for good reason, because I want to sandbox everything that we are doing here, that no private information or any contacts or notifications can bleed into the live stream. And that's why I'm using this. And the Brave browser, if you don't know about it, it's designed with security in mind. It blocks all cookies and adverts, and you can natively turn off scripts. I mean, for instance, if I just type in Brave at the thing, if you want to give this browser a go, there you go. It's private, secure, and fast browsing with Brave. And the reason that everything went wrong yesterday is that I've got a lot to kind of show you, some serious stuff. And I was going on to the CY Law database, and I was going to take you on a journey, which I will do later on, all about due diligence and how to see if your lawyer is a wrong 'un. So it will get serious in half a pint. And I set all this up by using the Chrome browser, which I use every day. And with the Chrome browser, if you right-click, and I'm going to right-click here now on the screen, as a lot of you know, you can you can't see the right-click. when you right click, it will come up to translate this page. And the Brave browser, right at the last minute, in the last hour, and I dropped everything down there, you can't do that. And so I couldn't translate anything, and I still can't translate anything, but I've got a workaround. We're still going to go through that today. Excuse me, Okay, so that's why it didn't happen yesterday. All right, that's enough housekeeping. I think enough people have joined. Let's get down and dirty with the serious stuff. When we last spoke, it was Thursday, wasn't it? And on the live stream, I introduced you all to Michael Minnes, lovely chap. And so he's a politician and broadcaster for the Party of Justice, and he's all against the corruption. He's all against the corruption. So that he asked me just before going live, about an hour or two, to see whether or not I could talk to a lot of his audience, and that's why I had to wing it. I had to, almost live, talk about my story, give a little summary, try not to drop myself in it. And any time I'm telling about my story, I get a little bit choked up, and I did there, and you saw it live. But that's what that was all about. But after the live stream, about 10 minutes after, Michael called on the Skype, and we talked for about 2.5 hours. And, we got to know each other really well. I told him my story in full. So he had already watched the videos. And then I told him my story. And, yeah, it was, he was shocked. He was gutted for me. But he's in the Party of Justice. And I think he had heard very similar stories a lot of times before. So he listened, he understood, and actually he knew a lot of the characters as well as my story. So that was interesting. But then he started to tell me about the levels of corruption in Cyprus at the moment. And he was trying to convince me, look, Connor, it's not just the British who are suffering. It's the everyday, average, Cypriot in the street. And, I totally accept that. And, I read the papers. I know all about the Auditor General, and I'm doing a whole thing on there. So he was telling me that the Cypriots in Cyprus are absolutely sick of the corruption. And I fully appreciate that. And actually, in my first 2 videos, within 20 seconds, in fairness to me, I did actually say that you have to be a well-connected local Greek Cypriot, to get anywhere. And then later on in the video, the first video, I start talking about how my property developer and even his lawyer, they don't even pay their tax. And, they've been shamed in the national newspapers for not paying tax. And there's plenty of cases up there on the CY Law database. So I was hinting in them videos that we share this common problem. But I came into this as a British guy, and I'm just sharing my experience of buying property in Cyprus. And most of my friends in life now are actually, property victims. It's not just, that misery loves company. It's we're there helping each other all the time. I speak to guys every day on Skype. And how do you getting on in your case? How am I getting on mine? And we're helping each other. So when I made them videos, it's with that in mind. So Mr. Menes understood all that. But I really would like to, not alienate, and I won't, the Cypriot community of, the average people who are suffering under corruption at the same, probably the same villains we are, the same lawyers, the same property developers and the same, players, the judges, and what I would actually really love to do is that the next time I'm outside my developer's office in Paralimni with my wife there, with a big banner saying Carianis are criminals. I would love it if the local community actually came out and stood by us and realised that they are victims too. Because can you remember, a lot of you who've bought property over there, can you remember what it was like in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8? All the lorries that were going up and down that road there in Paralimni, them big trucks, all carrying all that dust and the rubble, making potholes in the road. And everyone was told, that this is going to be good for the economy. That these people are going to bring in money, tax. Well, these people didn't pay their tax. So the everyday, average, man in the street, they had to pay for the potholes as well as suffer all them years. And these guys who were making a fortune didn't do anything. So I'd love it if you guys came over and stood outside with me and said, this is appalling. But that was a day, I tell you. That was a day. I'll tell you what was going on there. All right. I flew over with Michaela, my wife, there, with a TV crew from the UK. And the very next day in court, here's a little stuff that not a lot of people know about, all right? The very next day, we were up in court on a bullcrap charge. And I can't even remember what it was. I was preparing for this live stream and I couldn't even be bothered to get out the indictment. It was either some sort of criminal defamation for my website, or it was that I was recording, because I recorded Carianis's phone calls, my phone calls with him, that somehow was some sort of criminal, offence. And it wasn't. It was absolute nonsense. But I had to go all the way over there to Cyprus to defend myself in that case. And I don't even think my lawyer, it was getting thrown out. I think that day in court, the following day after that banner, it was just me in Paralimni court there with Michaela. And the judge stood up. Well, stood up. Judge made me stand up. Okay, he don't stand up for me. The judge made me stand up, and he was reading out what was going on. And I was on the public bench, actually. It was, I didn't have to go in the dock or anything like that. I think it was criminal. I think I was up on a criminal offence. But I stood up from the public bench, and Marius Carianis was behind me, and there were some shifty-looking thugs by the door. All right, and I could see them, communicating with each other. And Marius was on his mobile phone as well. And the judge was telling me that this case wasn't going any further. It was bullcrap. It was thrown out. Not the official translation, but that's basically what was going on. And I looked behind, and obviously I'd already been assaulted twice by these people, and I had my Michaela right by me. And I could see that there was an ambush happening behind over my shoulder. And I said to the judge, Your Honour, I'm going to be assaulted when I leave this place. I fear that I'm going to be assaulted. I wanted him to know, and it should be down the record. And they all looked, and they were laughing. All right? And we left there, and I got about 4 steps down the steps. Anyone who's been there in Paralimni, I got about 4 steps. And those thugs who were by the door, they turned out to be Farm Augusta's finest, the Paralimni police. Some undercover, in plain clothes policemen. And they grabbed me, and they grabbed my mobile phone, and they dragged me into the cell, the holding cell at Paralimni police station. Now, I was shouting to let the judge know what's going on, to be honest. All right, I've done nothing wrong. I've never done anything wrong but buy property in Cyprus. Nothing. So they threw me in this little holding cell and they'd taken my mobile phone off me. Now, this was the second time. No, good Lord, this was the third time I've lost a mobile phone over there. When you see me, I'm just looking down here. It says the lip sync is well out, Connor, by Derek. Okay. Can anyone else tell me if the lip sync is well out? And if it is, I will correct it afterwards. But it might not be me. It might actually be me. I'm just waiting for Michaela to tell me if the lip sync is out. Fine here, says Scott. Thank you, Scott. It's obviously the delay is 10 seconds behind. Derek, turn your computer off and on again. Mine's okay, says Robbie. Thank you very much for letting me know. Okay, I'm gonna carry on. Actually, Michaela's coming. How is it, love? All good. We get a thumbs up. Tiny. If ever the lip sync is out, actually, I will correct it in post and it will go up on live stream. So sorry. Okay, move on. Thanks for letting me know, though, Derek. But they threw me in the holding cell in Paralimni police station. Now, I'm not used to being in a police cell, unlike my developer and even his lawyer, Klaedes. I'm not used to being in a cell. And I was really concerned that they had taken my mobile phone. Now, I've asked people to contact me securely and anonymously, and I've done this whole video about how I'm not going to take a mobile phone, I'm not going to take a device to Cyprus, all right? And I won't cross a border with it. And it's because of these reasons, all right? Because the thugs over there, and the thugs, I mean the police, they take your phone, they look through your messages, they try and find all the other property victims, and they tell your developers. They tell them. So I was kicking off, my phone was taken, there was nothing on it anyway, and my wife was then phoning my lawyer, Yanis, and saying, oh my God, they've thrown Connor in this little cell. And Yanis got on the phone, Yanis Yoyadis, my lawyer, he got on the phone to them and he was like, you let him out right now. What has he done wrong? And apparently, this, they were saying that they were arresting me for public insult. Not for this banner you see here saying Carianis are criminals. They were saying that I was outside their offices, this shopping centre that Carianis had built in Paralimni, and I was shouting insults at them. Now, there was a policeman probably about 3 meters away from where this picture was taken. And there was a camera crew there from the United Kingdom, right there with me. And they say I was shouting public insults. Do you think I did that? And why didn't the police arrest me there and then for shouting public insults? Of course, the charges were dropped about a year later. But that day, Famagusta's finest, the Paralimni police, I spent the day in a little jail there in Paralimni. That protest was organised by my lawyer to say what was even on the banner. That's how they treat you over there. Thank you all. Scott Scott says it's probably an iPhone problem, always been. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's what's going on there. But yeah. This is Carianis's lawyer. We'll cover him later. I think some of you may have seen this. This is, well, I used to know him as Andrew Klydes when he was my lawyer. That's right. He was my lawyer as Andrew Klydes. And then he went on. And not only did he change sides, and represent Karianis in the same case. He changed sex and became Andriana Klaedes. And he's no stranger to jail cells, I can tell you that. This is an email dated the Thursday, the March the 3rd, 2011. And this actually came in from a public prosecutor. I'd attended court so often. I was actually, after a while, you get to know I'm quite a nice guy. And even the prosecutors even got to know me. And I got an email from this prosecutor. And let me read it out. I'll hide his name. It says, I'm sending you this email to inform you that Miss Andriana Klaidi is under custody. The police arrested him for fraud. He was arrested on the 25th of February, and she, in bold and underlined, is still in jail. Now, at that stage, we all knew him as Andrew Klydes. All right? These are the thugs on the opposition. I mean, my developer obviously did about, I don't know, 3 or 4 days inside between, after the second assault, between being found guilty of a second assault and then when they got off with the suspended sentence. They're used to being in jails, I'm not. So that's that. That's all good then. Yeah. I went off on a tangent there, didn't I? I was talking about Michael Minnes, bless his heart, and how that all went down. But yeah, I was convincing him that, I would like to see a lot of Cypriots outside Karianis' office next time I'm out there, and show that this guy is the exception and not the rule. That would be awesome. Yeah, listen, I just want to give a thank you, and I think Christos is in this live stream. I think I saw him as one of the early guys coming in. I'm just going down. No, Christos, I think I saw him in the one that then got deleted. I want to thank Christos Pitas for tagging Michael Minnes in one of the early comments and pulling him in to the conversation, for the introduction. So thank you, Christos. That was I owe you a pint, sir, and I understand you're in North London, so that's going to cost me £5.50 up there. And I'd love to know if you are a British-born Cypriot living in North London, or if you're a Cypriot who's moved over here. Please do tell. But I used to know a lot of London British-born Greek Cypriots, and I mean, if you sleep outside the British Cypriot High Commission in St James's for long enough, you get to know a lot of Greek Cypriots in the London community. I used to do, back in those days, and I'm talking 2008 now, the London Greek News used to cover my story. I must get back in touch with them. But since even going live, I have been contacted by British Cypriots saying that they too have a hard time going over in Cyprus. I mean, can you imagine if your mother or father came over here after 74? You're almost my age, now, and then you're buying a house over there or a property over there for a holiday home, and I understand you guys are getting fleeced as well. So I'd love to engage with you all. So thanks for that. I fully understand. Listen, that was Thursday. I'm up to Thursday. Friday, I took most of the morning off. I think Michael Minnes had told me the facts of life, and my head was spinning. And then I spent the rest of the day catching up with the correspondence of all the tips and the property problems coming in. Saturday was a big day. Saturday, I spoke to Yanis Uriadis, my lawyer, for another 2 hours on Skype. Everything's done in 2 hours now. There's no short phone calls with Connor here, I tell you. But to prepare for that, I actually read all my appeal submissions. And you know, to see where I'm at, and did the mental gymnastics of trying to work out how we could win our case but lose outright. And then I spoke to Yanis for 2 hours. And Yanis is as gutted as I am of how it went in the lower courts in Cyprus. And, you know, he's fully supportive of what I'm doing here on BeyondContempt. And, you know, he's sticking by me. He's probably going to get a bit of stick for this, I'm sure. But he understands my reasons. I mean, you know, he feels wretched about the way we've been treated. So thank you, Yanis. So that was a 2-hour call, and that was very generous of him. Just looking at the comments now. Okay, Christos Pitas says he's a Cypriot, moved to North London 3.5 years ago. Oh, that's great to know. Christos, next time I'm in London, mate, I owe you a pint. I really do. I can't thank you enough for introducing me to Michael Menas. I really can't. And there's another Christos above. And hi, Connor. I was a bit late today. Been 10 minutes here. Got to watch the replay later. Yes, chef, mate. You've missed the best bits. It's all downhill from here. All right. Thank you, Robbie. Robbie, many here are in Palmer's Green. Derek's on there. Robbie. Thank you. I'm not as good as Mr. Michael Menas at reading the comments, but yeah, there we go. So that was Saturday. And listen, I'm just gonna. I know it got a bit heated there with explaining how I got arrested in Paralimni. So just bear with me for a sec. I just want to let you know what Sunday is like around this house. Now, I know my second live stream was on a Sunday, but I needed special dispensation for that day. Michaela and I needed to play the Joker. We have a rule in this house. You have, you know, you've got many coping mechanisms so that you can go 13 years in a court case, and our rule is you don't say the C word on a Sunday. You don't say the C word on a Sunday. And it's been like that for over a decade. We don't mention Cyprus on a Sunday here in this house. When my children, when we went into this, I think they were 3 and 7 or something like that when we bought. I can't remember. It's been so long. When they were 3 and 7, my youngest, funny story, we'll lighten the mood now. She went up to my mum, and my mum's Irish, and she said, Grandma, Dad's not allowed to say the C word on a Sunday. And my mum went, I should hope not. Okay, she's been here since the early 60s, but she's Irish. It sounds like she just said, I should hope not. Now, my mum thought she obviously meant the 4-letter C word, the C word no one's allowed to say. And she was horrified, thinking I'm going around, you know, Monday to Saturday, going around saying the C word. And I had to run in from the other side of the room. You know, I said, Mum, no. The C word is Cyprus. I'm not allowed to say Cyprus on a Sunday, not the C word. So my kids grew up thinking that Cyprus was a naughty word. So they were 3 and 7 at the time. My eldest has just left university. She's out in the wild, and we're still fighting the same court case. Anyway, right. Yesterday I followed up my talk with Yanis with an email. I did a lot of correspondence. Okay, that's it. That's brought us up to speed. How am I doing for time? All right. Sorry, I did say it's going to be long. Listen, let's get down to it. Let's talk about why Harvey Weinstein is a lot like the Cyprus property market. All right, bear with me here now. All right, how a slug, nasty, sexual abusing sex pest in Hollywood is a lot like the Cyprus property market. Now, bear with me here. All right, last week I tried to post on a lot of the expat forums and some of the expat groups here on Facebook, and I was met. I fought through. It's all good. It's all good, people. But I fought through, and I was met with the same resistance as I was, as we're calling it around here, in season 1. All right, season 1, when I was trying to tell our story back in 2008 to 2012. Did you know that buying property in Cyprus is as safe as houses, so long as you do your due diligence? And all those tiny, minuscule, minute amount of property victims that there are in Cyprus, they didn't do their due diligence. All right? I was met with the usual victim blaming, as if we're some sort of stupid people, who used my developer's lawyer. I mean, that doesn't make you stupid. That's quite common anyway. And I was looking at all this abuse sort of coming in. It didn't happen to me. I bought property. That didn't happen to me. And I thought about the MeToo movement and Harvey Weinstein. All right? Now bear with me as I go through this. Let me put it up here. That's Harvey Weinstein. And that's a lot of his victims. Those are the famous ones. So for about 20 or 30 years, this slug of a man, he was abusing young girls. And the whole of Hollywood knew it. The whole of Hollywood supported him. There's Meryl Streep there. She said, Harvey Weinstein is my God. They knew what was going on, just like the whole property industry knows what's going on with my developer, the way I had been treated. All right? And not one of them, not one estate agent back in the day ever took Karayanis off their books. Not one. They all stood by him. They all went on the forums, like they are at the moment. I can see them creeping in. Michaela's saying allegedly. I think she's talking about the Harvey Weinstein victims. These are all alleged victims. All right, we must say that for legal reasons in case Harvey Weinstein comes after me, I guess. I think I've got worse problems. But no, Harvey Weinstein, he this is what he did. And the property industry is a lot like that. Now, by the time this headline came out in January 2008, this was my second assault. This was brutal beating in Paralimni. This made headline news in the Cyprus Mail. By the time this came out, this was my second assault. My first assault was quite infamous on the forums. And it was well known that my property developer had already sold my house to another British family at a higher price by fooling them, by not telling them of me. And they stood by him. The whole property industry was like, yeah, we're not going to, we're not going to take this guy off our books. When I was in, let me tell you a story now. When I was in hospital, I spent 5 days in hospital, and I was battered. I mean, I had a drip in me, I had a catheter in me, I couldn't walk. I was absolutely black and blue. They went to town on my kidneys, Kariannis did. I was absolutely shattered. And I woke up one day, about 3 days into the hospital. I was in a two-man ward with a policeman by the bed. The policeman was actually there for some other. I think he could have even been a bad guy. The policeman was there to protect a bad guy in the next bed, but the policeman was in between us, and I guess they put us in this secure room. I woke up one day with a business card on my pillow. It was on my pillow. No, it's probably on the bedside cabinet. It was on the bedside cabinet. And I was chuffed to bits. It was from an estate agent in the eastern side of the island. All right, I'm not going to show you this business card or even tell you who it's from, because actually it's one of the good estate agencies. And on the back of this business card, I'm reading it now, it says, Connor, popped in to see you, but you were asleep. Get well soon. And then their name. So I woke up to that and I thought, oh my God, how lovely. An estate agent from the local area has come in all the way in to see me. And they've left that lovely note by my bed. I phoned them and I told them my story and I told them everything. And then about a month later, I was horrified to see they were still selling my developer's property to other British people. But it's not even just the small developers either. I told my story in them days to everyone. This is me stood outside a place in the sun at Earl's Court. I'm getting on to a big lesson here about due diligence, all right? But, I'm not just bleating on about, the old days and how hard I had it. This is a lesson to everyone about due diligence. This is me outside Earl's Court, where a place in the sun we're exhibiting. And inside that hall, they were selling my developer's property. Now, anyone who's watched A Place in the Sun for any time, they will say all the usual things. Okay, you can buy property in Cyprus, but caveat emptor, buyer beware. Use your due diligence, there are property problems. Well, I tried to convince A Place in the Sun live there for about 2, maybe 3 years to take my developer out of their hall, and I had no luck. I'm there with 2 signs, Kariannis developers. And that's me in hospital bed, hospitalized by Cyprus developers. I mean, what chance do you stand, all right, trying to buy property abroad when that's what goes on? Also on them banners, you can see there, I've got that they're members of the AIPP, the Association of International Property Developers. Okay, Kariannis in them days, all right, like Harvey Weinstein won Oscars, didn't he? All right, Kariannis didn't win any Oscars, but they awarded themselves badges. On their website, they had these badges, and one of those badges was a badge from the AIPP. But you know what? They didn't actually earn that badge. They didn't even pay for that badge. That badge was a lie. All right. Now, I had a website up called Lying Builder. And remember, you're looking at a record breaker here. This is someone who's rewarded, fined a national record in Cyprus for calling this good, honourable businessman a liar. And he had a badge on his website, many badges, that he didn't earn, that were fake. Now, as I just take a little... now, the court knows this, by the way. It's not as if I didn't bring this up in court. Let me just go back here for a minute. While I just calm down. Have a little drink. And I'm going to show you a video I did at the time. A little bit of fun. So back in the day, I did this video. And I know a lot of you have been following my story for a lot of years. And I know this is your favourite video. All right, so I'm going to play it here. I've watched a lot of my old videos today in setting this up. But this was a video I put up on YouTube, and it was a bit of a Mickey take at the time. So let me just play that. Let's see if the desktop audio is on. Let's see if you can see this. This is on YouTube right now. It's been up there since the 26th of May, 2008.
If you're a member of the Association of International Property Professionals, why don't you show me your badges?
Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Oh, look what it goes on to that. Look, me on the news in the... Oh, well, let's play this one. So, me on the news, 20th of August, 2007. Oh.
Good evening. You're watching the news from the CYBC in Nicosia. Allegations of having been cheated by land developers, estate agents and building contractors on the island are being looked into by the Ministry of Interior.
Oh, that's good.
With the competent minister saying that an investigating officer has already been appointed in order to ascertain whether or not the charges are true, and if yes, to what extent. In addition to the printed media, some of the claims have been posted on the internet's YouTube, while a Cyprus Property Action Group has also been established by those who've allegedly fallen victim to individuals engaged in illegal practices. Indicative of the situation is the fact that British bookstores carry a volume on the buying and selling of real estate on the island titled Cyprus, Things the Estate Agents Don't Tell You. Commenting on the matter, Cyprus Estate Agents Association President Solomon Gourouklidis said that the charges concerning investments of millions of pounds have all arisen from the Bafos district, while he called on all those interested in purchasing property to deal only with...
Look how chubby I was back then.
...the registered agents.
Look at that. There you go. 2007, they're investigating. That's good news, isn't it? All right. So there you go. Carianas did not have the badges. But you know what they did? You know what they did after that? They actually applied to be members of the Association of International Property Professionals. And they allowed it. The AIPP allowed them to be members after I had protested, after I told them everything that what these people are. I'd been assaulted twice. They'd sold my house to another. The AIPP allowed them to be members. And I said, oh my God, I thought this is a mistake. I phoned them up and they're very posh. They're up in London. They're very posh. And they said, oh yes, Mr. Erdogan, we understand what happened to you. But now they are members of the AIPP. They're now, only now, bound to our rules. I said, you're out of your mind. These people are animals. They're absolute animals. They're only doing this because they were caught for not having the badge in the first place. You are out of your mind to expose these people to the British public. and it was a hell of a battle. It must have been about 6 months going back and forth. And I found it in their sort of in their rules, their terms and conditions, that these people, I remember I wrote an email and I got it all, and I'll publish it all. Good letters. And I published it all. And I said, listen, I found an out for you guys. I felt sorry for them. I found an out. It says here that they must be a fit and proper person, all right, to be a member of the AIPP. And I said, I don't think these are fit and proper people. So they eventually booted them out again. But it was a hell of a battle. This is what you have to go to. But anyway, due diligence. I can't believe that. Right. So, where were we? Yeah, Harvey Weinstein. So the industry turned a blind eye, all right? All the estate agents still sold their properties. And you know what was really funny? You know what really made me laugh? Let me show you this. This is funny. Okay, hold on a minute. I haven't got that. Let me go back. Can I go back? No, maybe I'll go back on this one. File not found. Oh, that's a shame. Hold on a minute. Bear with, people. Bear with, as my kids say. Alright, if I go into live stream, I can now pull in, because I'm a genius, I can pull in this PDF. There we go. Bing bong. Bear with. Have you got any millennials at home? They don't say bear with me. They're on their phones. They go, bear with. Can you tidy your room, please? Bear with. Right. I had the last laugh against these estate agents who wouldn't take Carianis off their books. You may have heard me laughing on this date, the 13th of the 2nd, 2012, when this lady came up as a witness against me in the case. So this is I can't pronounce it. Virula Carianis. This is Christophus Carianis and Son Limited, were the company I bought from. This is the daughter. This is the lady who was she called it the accountant, the bookkeeper, and she took the stand. What had happened was Marius Carianis came as their first witness. And he was saying all the damages that all my defamation, all my lies had caused the company. And that's all right. Okay, well, show us your company accounts then, please. Bring your company accounts. And he goes, oh, I haven't got them. My father will bring them next. The 3 little pigs they were. My father will bring them in the next one. And we were like, okay. So the dad takes the stand. Mr. Christophus Carianis, we understand you've got the books. And he goes, oh no, my daughter will bring them in the next one. So they're still ranting about how much damage they had. I had caused their business by telling my story on the internet. But eventually, this lady came on, the sister, the daughter, and she's the bookkeeper. So here we go. They've got their star witness, the bookkeeper. Surely you must have the company accounts. Show us all the damage that line builder and Mr. O'Dwyer has done you. No, she didn't bring the accounts to court either. I don't know what she was doing there, to be honest. But she did them no favours, I can tell you that. So within her testimony, because they wouldn't bring any accounts to court, we actually had a spreadsheet that we used. We were the only ones who showed the sort of, any kind of financial dealings with the company. And in that, it was a document that we had. They'd been given ex parte to show all their sales that they had done. They had produced this document in a different case. And so we showed that, and it was a spreadsheet, and there was gaps in the column that showed about who was the estate agent. And when we quizzed this lady, the bookkeeper, the sister of Marius Carianis, when we quizzed her and we said, why is there gaps? on this column. And you know what she said? Sorry. She said that, oh yeah, on those houses, we didn't pay the estate agencies the commission for those sales. We paid the individual agents cash. So instead of paying the companies who had supported them for all these years, all right, gone on all the forums, you know, really hammering me, Carianas was paying the individual staff members a little bung, cash under the table, all right, every time they made a sale. And she proudly, this lady proudly said that in court. And remember, this is a court. I only had to prove that they were lying builders. She just admitted that they were not only liars, that they were thieving from the same, you know, from the industry that was supporting them. I still lost the case. Let me just bring up my, let me just bring up here what I'm up to. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, I was laughing. I think I was doing that when she said that. All right. Sorry it's going on. Okay. Back to Harvey Weinstein. So that's the industry that turned a blind eye. Now, of course, you couldn't have a bad property developer or estate agent in Cyprus without that little honey trap, the same that Harvey Weinstein had. Harvey Weinstein had staff, female members of staff, that used to bring the little girls, the young actresses, to hotel rooms, and knowing full well that Harvey Weinstein was in the shower and wanted to come out and have a massage. Well, I think in this analogy, you all know, you know, we all know the British expats who work for the developers and the estate agents, and they say, "Come be my friend. You know, I can't wait till you come over. Our kids are all going to go to the same school. We're all going to drink together on the beach. We're all going to do that." And meanwhile, they know that their developer or their estate agent's a crook. They know they're ruining your life. But they say this. They're not all bad. But we know who they are, don't we? Some of one member of Harvey Weinstein's staff has committed suicide because what she did to all them girls. NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. That was a massive thing in the Harvey Weinstein scandal, to find out that some victims had to sign NDAs. Well, a lot of victims in the property industry in Cyprus, they have to sign NDAs as well, just to get their money back from their developer. I know two very well, because although they had to sign NDAs, I didn't. And I helped them get out of their nightmares in Cyprus. A lot of people, you don't know the good guys who got away because of these NDAs. And actually, it's worse than it's not a confidentiality agreement that would have lasted 4 or 5 years. The people I know, they had to sign what's known as a deed. And they contacted me last week and they said, "Connor, I can't believe you're still suffering the way you are." And they haven't forgotten what I did for them at the time. And they're saying, "We want to tell our story again." And they're going up the attic to have a little look in their box and to see how long this deed lasts. I thought it lasted 10 years. They think it lasted 11. But in any event, it could be as soon as spring next year that I will be interviewing some people who had to sign these confidentiality agreement deeds to keep stum, to get their money back, because they know that these people, these developers and lawyers, are still out there today ripping off British, and they can't even tell their mother. But I'm going to interview them. Now, if you're in the Paralimni or the Larnaca area and you hear an ambulance just going past, that's because there's a lawyer having a heart attack right now. Michaela, if you hear this, could you pour us another drink, love? Nearly done. NDAs. But victims are blamed, just like in the Harvey Weinstein thing. If I go on a forum now and I start telling my story, you know, people are coming out and they're blaming us. You know? You know? It's so hard to tell your story in public. You have to actually make a website like Line Builder or Beyond Contempt. And then you go on a forum or something and you can point people to that. I mean, you can't just go on a forum and say, my developer did this, my lawyer did that, okay? You're putting the forum in danger. You have to take your story off the forum, pull it in. You have to go to great effort to tell your story. But the weird thing is, when you go and tell your story on Facebook right now, all right, I was seeing comments that saying I didn't do my due diligence, and yet I've got my story pending in other places, all right, that said that I can't tell my story. So how are you supposed to do your due diligence if victims aren't allowed to speak out? Anyway, that's it. Harvey Weinstein, the big slug. He's a lot like the property industry in Cyprus. All right. And I can hear a new drink coming. One sec. We're nearly there. Now I'm just going to do an exercise. I'm going to go through a little exercise now, and I know a lot of you are waiting. Thanks, love. I know a lot of you are waiting for a little teaser I did, but I could break and carry on another day, but I'm happy to carry on. And you know what, the Michaela and I, we were saying, you know, if this is a long one, you know, it's not fair on the audience. Maybe I should just do short 15-minute ones. And then we thought, you know what, I'm going to do a lot of these. And my opposition, they've got a lawyer watching this right now. They've got a lawyer watching what I say right now. And to that lawyer, I just want to say, you know, I hope that you're still charging by the hour and you're not on some sort of annual retainer, because I think you're going to have to renegotiate that retainer, because I'm going to do this, not as long as this, but at least twice a week until the end of my nightmare. All right? Okay, so enjoy that. And as well as a lawyer watching this, there could be somebody transcribing this, somebody typing up everything I said, and then another person translating that. And to those people, I just want to offer my sincere contrafibularities. All right, if you're a Greek Cypriot reading this out loud, yeah, I offer my sincere contrafibularities. In fact, I'm anasplectic, phlegmatic, and even compunctious to have caused you such pericompulations. Enjoy that. All right, can anyone in the stream, some of my friends, know where that quote comes from? Okay. All right, listen, we're going to go into the final part of this live stream, and this is how I'm going to show you a little bit more about due diligence. Now, the worst part of due diligence in Cyprus is that if you're going to buy property in Cyprus from a developer, you've got to know that the people you are asking about, so all his other customers, whether or not they've got their title deeds. Because those people you're talking to might have the developer by their throat, and that's the hardest part. So if you go onto a development and you see, you go to door number 2 and you say, "Hi, I notice you live here. What's the developer like?" All right, they're not going to even come out and say that my door doesn't shut properly, because if you go back to the developer and says, "Mrs. Jones at number 2, she's complaining that her door doesn't shut properly," or never mind, her road isn't built out front. Her life is going to be hell. So there's people waiting 15, 20 years. So you've got to know that the hardest part in checking out your property developer in Cyprus is that the customers you're talking to don't have their title deeds. So that's very, very important. But listen, let's do a little exercise here now. Let's have a little bit of fun. And there's a serious lesson here now. What we're going to do is show you that due diligence, for all you people on the forums who are saying I was lucky, they were lucky buying, and they think they're safe as houses right now. I just want to do a little exercise and show you that good lawyers turn bad. All right. Bad lawyers remain hidden. I mean, if a court case takes 13 years to come to court, can you imagine what damage a bad guy in Cyprus could do in 13 years? I mean, you could rip off enough victims, couldn't you? To retire, to go off somewhere, and no one would know for 13 years. Let me show you this. This is the Eastern Cyprus Forum, an excellent forum. Okay. And actually, this is my current thread. Now, imagine, here's the scenario. Imagine you're, you want to check out, you want to make a will, a last will and testimony in Cyprus. You're an expat over there and you want to make a will. So what you're going to do, you're going to go into the search function. Now, you can't just type in will here, can you? All right, if you typed in will, you're going to get too many posts. You're going to get every thread that uses the word will, every will and grace thread, every I will not buy property in Cyprus thread. So you're going to have to type something big, better than that. So if we type in probate here we go, I did this today. Type in probate. It's going to come up with all the will threads here. Wills. All right. So here's a good thread. Lawyers who deal with probate. Here's the scenario for due diligence. If you come down here, what lawyers who deal with probate? Well, Marion Carter is an English lawyer who practices in the Larnaca area. She will do probate. So think, okay, I'm going to check out Miss Marion Carter. You're a newbie. You don't know anything about it here on the island. All right, I'm going to search for all terms Marion Carter, and boom, there you go. You're going to come across pages of everyone who's done a will and recommending Marion Carter, and it's all good. All right, it's all good. I've been through this and never seen a bad word said about it. Okay. So once you've got that and you've gone through all that, then the next thing, isn't it? You go into Google and you're going to type in Marion Carter into Google and probably the word Cyprus. All right, we're just doing due diligence here, people. Just doing a little bit of due diligence. And there she is, actually. That's Marion Carter there. All right. And you could go through all of this, 10 pages, reading all about Marion Carter. Do your due diligence and you wouldn't see anything wrong with that at all, would you? But here's the lesson. And I encourage every single person in Cyprus to do this regularly, is to go to the CY Law database. This is where all the decisions are put up. And type in the name right there of your lawyer who holds your will, who's in charge of your case, and do it all the time. Do your due diligence. Now, if you clicked in here to search, now, all these drop downs, now, unfortunately, this is what I was saying at the beginning. This is the Brave browser, and I can't translate all this for you. But this will say lower court decisions, higher court decisions. But just click it here. Just bear with me. And you can see here that there's one case here, and this is Klaides. We'll come on to him in a minute. But trust me, go onto this tab. If you use the Chrome browser, all this will be translated, and it will say lower court decisions, higher court decisions, and it will say everything. It'll all become apparent. But you can see there's 4 cases here. And if you click on these 4 cases, for instance, you will see this. Now, this didn't come up in any Google search, all right, in any due diligence, and I'll show you why in a minute. And there you see there's Marion Carter there. She's involved in the case, and this here says that she is the defendant. And worse than that, this here says that her secretary, Angela, more about these people in a minute, Angela is there also as a defendant. And you can see here that there's 3 people, all with the same surname, Barclays. Now, Barclay. And if you, we could right click and you could say what all this is about. Now, you could see what it all, but listen, let me just read out that first paragraph to you. Okay, that first paragraph pretty much says that the plaintiffs, which are the Barclays here, in their application claim general and special damages for a breach of duty of claimant of 1, 2, and 3, which resulted in their capacity as executors of the will or administrators of the estate. They base their claim on acts or omissions of the defendants that are fraudulent, which led the claimants as legitimate heirs of the deceased William Kennedy Barclay to suffer losses and damages. Now here, I'm going to put this case up on my website, and I'll tell you why I got a bugaboo up my arse about this, but I'll put all this up here. But you will see that these are the 2 daughters and the son of a chap called William Kennedy Barclay here. And they should have, and they felt aggrieved enough to take Marion Carter and Angela, her secretary, believe it or not, to court. And that couldn't have come lightly. But I encourage you all to read this. If you're one of the people on the Eastern Cyprus Forum, and there's hundreds, if not thousands of you who have your will in the hands of Marion Carter, I would encourage you to take this to her office and ask her why she was being sued and the result of that. And I'm going to leave it like that on that. But for those of you who know me, they will know that when I bought property in Cyprus, I used this firm, Carter and Leotoni. That's Marion Carter, back in 2005. And she drew up my contract. Well, I had a hand in it too. But then when things went wrong for me, she had split up from Carter Leotoni, and she had joined with a guy called Klaedes, Andrew Klydes. And they had started up a new firm called Klaedes Carter. So this is Marion Carter and Angela, named in that lawsuit. And they joined together with Andrew Klydes. Now, I know there's two pictures there, but Andrew Klydes was a man when I knew him, when he worked for me, when he represented me. And then he went on to represent my developer in the same case. He swapped sides in the same case. Now, why have I got it in? Why am I saying all this about Angela and Marion Carter? Well, let me tell you, nobody knows this. In my main case, not only had Andrew Klydes, my own lawyer, barrister, swapped sides and represented my developer in the same case, and that had been allowed to go on in court. Cariana started to get desperate during my case, and they started to bring in all sorts of wretched people to tell all sorts on the stand and perjure themselves. And this lady, Angela, a secretary for my own lawyer, who honestly, I knew my dental secretary more than I know this Angela. I was told that the next witness for the opposition was this Angela Socrates, I think her name was. And I sat there and I thought, I have no idea who that is. And they gave me this statement. And it turns out the legal secretary for the woman who drew up my contract was going to walk into court and tell this pack of lies against me. I had no idea what this was about, what was going on. How could this possibly even happen? And I couldn't allow it. I just said to my lawyer, this is absolutely monstrous. Not only is this judge allowing the lawyer who used to represent me in the same case to represent the opposition, they're now bringing in a secretary I hardly knew. I mean, my only correspondence with this woman was phoning her up and trying to speak to Marion Carter, and she's going to come in to my court with my life on the line, with everything I've ever worked for, and start telling this pack of lies about how conversations we had, about my website. So not only did I have this character, who is obviously a crook, I mean, he's a crooked lawyer, he's already done time in prison, and he's representing my opposition, but they now want to wheel in this other lady. That's Cyprus, people. But I can tell you, she wasn't allowed in the court. All right? I don't even know what happened. I think she chickened out at the end. I think she was given this statement to read out, and she legged it. She didn't get that far, but I've got a copy of the statement. Did the judge? And remember, we're talking about a judge who wouldn't even recuse himself, a judge who wouldn't step aside. What an absolute kangaroo court. There you go. Marion Carter, Angela, and Andrew Klydes. So there we go. This is just an exercise in due diligence. Let me go back here. All right, now the reason you can't see all this, if you notice here, the reason you can't see all this from Google is that the CY Law database hides all these judgments from the Google crawlers. Let me see if I can just bring this down. The Brave browser. If I can bring this down to here, and you can see up here, if I type, so you can see all these judgments, all the judgments are in this file, in this folder here, CGI bin. Well, look, let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that bit there. And if I type in robots.txt. Okay, listen, this is any IT professionals out there, you will know that there's a robots.txt file, and with every website, it tells Google where you can and can't crawl, where you can and can't go. And you can see there it says that to disallow this entire folder. So every single judgment that has ever been given in Cyprus is hidden from the Googles. So you've got to go into the CY Law database yourself and type in Marion Carter and Andrew Klydes. And here's another bit of bad news. Not every decision gets published in the CY Law database. The worst things that have ever happened to me aren't even up there. All right? They're quite selective in what they publish. But even what they publish is bad enough. So Google does not go and crawl all these judgments. So I tell you, if you are thinking of doing business or having a lawyer or writing a will in Cyprus, type the name of that lawyer, law firm, developer into the CY Law database, because Google doesn't go there. So can you imagine if they just deleted, what is that? I don't know, 8, 9, 10 characters. If they deleted those 10 characters in that little text file, it would open up that entire database to Google, and we would all be able to crawl and see how bad your lawyer is. Now, Marion Carter was an easy one because it's nice and easy. You know, we can all write it. And I tell you, you know, she may have some great explanation as to why her and her secretary were in this case. So honestly, just go and ask her, because this is a nightmare. This is an absolute nightmare of why she was sued. But she may tell you, and if she's got a good explanation, please, Marion, do get in touch, and I'll give you a right to reply on my next live stream. I'll be right here holding my breath. Right. She's easy. Can you believe that woman coming into my court and wanting to do that, ruin my life? Right. Anyway, didn't work. Now, I just want to show you how hard it is to do your due diligence. And Marion Carter is easy, but let me just show you Klydes. That database, those are all the different names that I put into that database probably once a month. All right? to get to find out what Klaedi's up to. And obviously there you can see he's been both man and a woman over the years. Here's a funny story. All right, so, you know, back in the day, when I was in the lower courts, Andrew Klydes, as I knew him there, in court in Cyprus, was actually operating as a barrister here at Temple Court Chambers in London, the City of London, just opposite the High Court, little Temple Court Chambers. He was operating there as a lady. So he was a lady in the UK, and he was a man in Cyprus with two completely different names, two genders. So I went to the Serious Fraud Office in the City of London. I went to the Serious Fraud Office and I said, is this even legal? I mean, for the guy to be two different names at the same, within the EU in two different places, to be operating as a man there and a woman there, a good reputation in one place, a bad reputation in the other, and nothing came of the case. So there you go. I guess it's legal. But I reported him as well to Temple Court Chambers in London, and soon after he was no longer there. I don't know why. They parted ways. But can you imagine that for me? I started to, I went to buy property in Cyprus, and I'm trying to, look at property law, and all of a sudden I'm reading the Gender Recognition Act of 2004 and working out whether or not you people can be the two genders at the same time, as in different places with different names. But if you type any of these names into the CY Law database, excuse me, let me turn it down. You can see that Klaedes is features in the database more often, probably. It's pretty close, I'm sure. More often as a defendant or the plaintiff than he does actually representing clients. Now, so you can type any of these. Let me just do this here now. Hold on. You can type any of those names into there, and you can fill your boots. You can have a lot of fun. But what I have done is I have actually pulled out a lot of his stuff, but not all of them. It's not conclusive. But if you typed into here, say Klaedes, into my website, you can find loads of his cases. So I've pulled it out of the database, and I just chuck it all up here. So you can see I'm all over him like a rash. But listen, that's due diligence, people. All right. This is I hope you can see that the forums are great. The CY Law database is great. Facebook is great. Google's obviously great, but they've all got their limitations, and they've you've got to do it all, and you've got to do it regularly. And don't think just because you didn't get screwed going in, you're not going to get screwed going out. So continue it. Well, listen, I'm going to leave you there for now. I must have been talking for an hour. This is a long one. All right. If you can, please share this video. When I've finished it, it will get shared. It will get saved up on Facebook. If you can share it into your own timeline. I think there's a lot of people on the eastern end of the island that would like to see the latter half of this video. And, please share it. And I'd like to thank you all for staying with me. All right. I'd like to thank you for the comments. I'll go through them later. And I'd like to offer my sincere contribularities to the person who has to transcribe this. And Take care. Have a great evening. And I'm going to end this gracefully. Good night.